Hi BookTube, Aaron here. Hope you're doing very well. Today I'll be doing the Counting the Days tag, a tag created by Ruben from To Read As It May Concern and Emily from Prose and Petticoats. It's the second tag that they've done in collaboration so far, and I'm looking forward to many more from them. And I was very kindly tagged by Pat from Book Chat with Pat. And it's just the idea of the tag is it's a list of books that you're counting down the days for, books that you'd really quite like to read at some point in the near future. So the first prompt is, what is a book that excites you because of its cover? There could have been a few ways I went with this, but I decided to go with Austerlitz by W.G. Sebald. And I don't know, there's just something about it I really like. And this is the only Sebald I have, the only book of his that I have at the moment that I haven't read yet. There are others that he wrote that I haven't read, but out of the ones I currently have, it's the only one I haven't read. And just when I think of Sebald, this book cover comes to mind, and then I'm reminded of the fact that I haven't read it. And I've heard interesting things about what the cover is. It's sort of supposed to be the main character of the book, but it's really just a random picture that he found. And that's really what goes on with all of his books, is that he just collects old photographs in charity shops and things like that, and he sort of weaves them into his narrative, or maybe he even weaves the narrative around the images. But yeah, this is one where I found the cover very intriguing. Number two is, what is a book that excites you because of its author? And that would be To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. So far, the only novel of hers that I've read is Mrs. Dalloway, and I really loved it, and I'm hoping to make up for lost time with Virginia Woolf and hopefully read some more of hers as soon as I can. And the next one I have is To the Lighthouse, and I've heard very good things. I think quite a few people hold it up as one of her best, if not her best work. So we'll see what I think, but I'm very excited to get to it, and really should have got to it sooner. Number three is, what is a book that excites you because of its premise? With that, it would be Life, a User's Manual by Georges Perec. I'm trying to remember if I'm fairly certain Ruben has talked about this book recently, and I'm wondering whether he used it in this tag, and if he did, whether he actually used it for this prompt. But the premise of this book is that it's essentially a single moment, or a very sort of short amount of time, and you're seeing it from multiple perspectives of the tenants of a building. And I think as the book goes on, you sort of see how their lives interlock, and that's the kind of restriction that's put on it, that it doesn't sort of go on and on and on and on in time. There's a very set amount of time, and that's really intriguing. Lawrence Durrell put a similar restraint on himself, although I suppose his restraint on time wasn't quite as strict as Georges Perec's, but he was sort of looking at a set amount of time from multiple perspectives in his Alexandria quartet. So I suppose the idea of that is still quite alluring at the moment. Number four is, what's a book that excites you because of its style? And I'm not actually sure. I'm now trying to remember why I put this down on this one. Certainly a book I'm excited to get to, and I think I'm just hoping that I'm going to get on with the style. But it's At Swim Two Birds by Flann O'Brien. It's a book about a a guy who wants to be a writer, I think, and essentially the characters from his book sort of take over. um, and I think I have a feeling it's supposed to be quite funny and supposed to um, just be one of those great sort of Irish modernist 20th century novels. And so we'll see if it lives up to that. But yeah, I've heard good things. I've heard that people got on with it well. Um, and yeah, we'll see. I've had it sitting around for quite some time now, so I should get to it soon. Number 5 is, what is a book that excites you because of its influence? This is one I felt a bit scared about because this kind of thing has sort of come back to bite me relatively recently. I read Madame Bovary, and with that, I could see how influential it had been, and yet, because of how influential it had been on later novels, it didn't strike me nearly as much, and it felt, it did kind of feel derivative, even though it's exactly the opposite. It was what was inspiring all these books that I'd read before. So it was, yeah, it was a very odd feeling. But I do have one, and I'm hoping that the same thing won't happen. And it's Fathers and Sons by Yvonne Turgenev, and I've just heard that it's had a profound influence on um, other Russian writers, and I kind of get the impression that that kind of almost Dostoevskian kind of thing, where you maybe have one character who's quite nihilistic, and then another character with a very different worldview, and it's sort of battled out between the characters, these various worldviews, and I kind of get the impression that that's what's going on in Fathers and Sons as well. Number 6 is, what is a book that excites you because of its emotional weight? I'm not sure if emotional weight is exactly why I want to read this, and I'm not exactly sure if excited is exactly the right word to use. It's certainly a book I want to read, and I can recognise before going into it, it's going to be very emotional, it's going to be very heavy, and it will be If This Is a Man and the Truce by Primo Levi, a memoir of his time as in a concentration camp, and yeah, it's something I wanted to read for a long time, but I recognise it's going to not be the easiest reading. Number 7 is, what is a book that excites you because of its sense of humour? And this is one where I know I'm going to get on with the sense of humour because I've read bits and bobs from this author before. I'd like to read this selection of Stevie Smith's poetry, and I've read some of her famous poems like Not Waving But Drowning before, and there's a kind of ironic and quite wry sense of humour to her, but she can be quite sort of profound in her own way, and say in her own way, that sounds really bad. She is, quite profound, but because of her sense of humour, it can be unexpected sometimes. Yeah, I haven't read a lot, and it's got her own illustrations in it as well. Then number 8 is a book that excites you because of its challenge or difficulty. And this is a book that I've heard can be quite difficult, and we'll see if it is. It's Dr. Faustus, The Life of the German Composer Adrian Leverkrun, as Told by a Friend by Thomas Mann. It's one of quite a few books by Thomas Mann that I've picked up, and I'm sort of planning to just sort of dive into his novels at some point in the near future. And sort of out of them, this is the one that I'm really the most excited to get to. But I have heard that it's one of his hardest novels, So we'll see how it goes, but the excitement's still there, and at the moment not terribly put off by it. So we'll see how that goes. And then that's it. The last prompt is to tag some people, and I haven't written down anyone to tag, so I'll leave it open. So if you'd like to do this, please consider yourself tagged and give it a go. But now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.